Armin Kurdian. I don't know. I mean, it looks like the next lab leak thing, Armin. You know, this is kind of scary, and you think this. The headline of the National Review says, quoting on Monday, illegal California lab run by Chinese biotech firm contained mice engineered to spread COVID. That in itself is scary. And then you look at all the other diseases that are in there. It was illegally done. Someone had nefarious intents here, some capacity. I'm not saying they're trying to spread virus, but I'm saying they didn't intend to do well. What do you think?
Well, ostensibly to build a bunch of test kits, Trace. There's two things that struck me about this. The first of all is you have this lab where you're containing all of these very dangerous pathogens in a facility that is not designed to store them. There are very specific power requirements, cooling requirements, ventilation, emergency procedures. What happens if one of these vials breaks and leaks? You're not going to clean it up with a pine sol and a bucket. The second thing that has really struck me is the fact that it's very hard to find out what the origin or what the backstory is. Are there more of these kinds of facilities existing within the U.S.? So, I mean, it could very well be some kind of precursor bioweapons lab or bioweapons research.
Right.
We don't know.
And the scariest thing you said is we have no idea how many of them are out there. I mean, the government didn't know about it. Nobody knew about this thing, right? And you wonder if there's going to be consequences. The city manager, Nicole Ziba, said this in Reedley City. Ultimately, what we did find is some viruses such as HIV, COVID, chlamydia, rubella, malaria, things of that nature. I mean, what are they doing in there? I mean, when you look at this lab and you think, what's going on underground?
If it was really a legitimate setup to do this kind of testing equipment work, there's no reason for them to be operating under the radar.
Right.
And as the FBI has reported this, they've gone try to find out where the origin is. They found a bunch of dead addresses, shell companies, places that don't exist. So the line is pretty much stopping right here, which is probably the most concerning item. So the FBI needs to find out, and there's also probably a time-sensitive issue here because if there's other stuff going on in the country, these types of labs, you want to find them before they shut them down.
Right, or something happens, right? Some kind of accident, which is the worst thing. You did great work for us in the Titan sub, the missing Titan sub, and it was a tragic outcome. Newsweek says this: the Coast Guard has declined to comment on when its analysis of the remains will be released to passengers, families, and the public, but a forensic medical expert has told Newsweek that an inspection of bodies found underwater can be completed in a matter of hours. But you're saying the totality of this thing and figuring out what went wrong is going to take a while.
It could very well take up to a year. The good news is that they found a lot of very large pieces.
Right.
So the investigators now have two very important pieces of information. They know what they have, and they also know what they don't have. They're going to bounce what they've recovered with the plans for the Ocean Gate submarine, and then they're going to decide and assess, do we have enough to do a complete and full engineering investigation? If they do, they're going to continue on. If they don't, they're going to go back and try to look for those pieces, while at the same time doing some initial work on the hull. For example, a metallurgical analysis. Where were the stress points? Where did the actual failure actually occur? So this is going to be a very detailed and very intricate process to pull this information together and rebuild the accident from when it actually occurred.
But it might save lives later. I've got about 10 seconds for you.
Absolutely. You want these lessons learned. You don't want this to happen again, and you want to take these lessons and apply them to future designs, future engineering, so that other firms going down to visit the Titanic don't have this kind of an issue happen to them.
Armin Kurdian, great stuff as always. Thank you, sir, for coming.
Thanks.
First up in tonight's viral videos, record-breaking rainfall.